Arsenal's good news and bad news landed in the same week, and the contrast could define their season before the calendar even flips. On one hand, there's Leandro Trossard, the energetic, clever wide option who's been sidelined with a groin complaint through pre-season, but has now returned to training and even made the bench in the season opener at Old Trafford. A sign that Arteta's squad might regain width and inventiveness at exactly the moment they need it. On the other hand, there's Gabriel, a player whose presence has been so central to Arsenal's forward structure that his prolonged absence after further knee surgery leaves a tangible hole up front. Club updates list him still out with the knee problem and the expectation that his return is unlikely until the autumn months of 2025, which forces a very different sort of planning. Put simply, one player's recovery gives the manager more selection choices. The other's setback shortens them. Trossard's return is not just about a fresh pair of legs, it's about tactical flexibility. He can play across the front line. He offers movement that drags defenders out of shape. And he's someone who can relieve pressure on Bukayo Saka and Martinelli by creating overloads on either flank or offering late runs into the box. For a side that sometimes struggled to break compact defences last season, having Trossard available, even initially off the bench, is a real injection of options that changes how Arteta can rotate and adapt across a long campaign. The official injury listings and multiple club updates over the last few days confirmed Trossard's improving status and the optimism around him being available sooner rather than later. But football is rarely balanced, and Jesus' situation changes the conversation entirely. He's not a peripheral figure whose absence can be papered over. He's been integral to the central forward role, linking play, pressing from the front, and finishing chances. The latest medical setbacks, a further intervention related to his knee, push his realistic comeback window into the autumn, which means several Premier League fixtures and critical early season momentum could be without him. For Arteta, that means planning for a front line that must be resilient without its usual pivot, and it raises the question of whether the club will lean harder on existing attackers, accelerate the development of younger forwards, or dip back into the market. The Premier League's injury lists and reputable outlets are consistent in reporting Jesus as still sidelined and Trossard as close to fitness. So what does that look like on the pitch? In the short term, you'll probably see Arteta prioritise balance. Start with a compact shape that defends well and use Trossard as an impact substitute to change tempo and creativity. That's safer than thrusting an untested striker into a lead role or over-rotating a team that needs defensive compactness against tough opposition. Medium term, the club has choices. Trust in the squad depth, promote a youth option, or decide that the market demands a fresh signing to cover an extended absence. Each choice carries risk. Squad trust gives continuity but can stretch players thin. A new signing can be a short-term fix but costs money and chemistry. Youth gives hope but not guaranteed returns. The timing of Jesus' recovery will influence which path makes sense. For fans, these developments are a reminder. Football seasons are shaped as much by fitness as by form. Trossard's near-term availability is the kind of boost supporters celebrate. It promises immediate options and a little breathing room in matchday planning. But Jesus being out for months is not merely an injury note. It has strategic ripple effects across transfer policy, rotation plans, and the club's psychological edge. If Arsenal are to maintain title momentum or mount a more consistent challenge, the next few weeks, not just of fixtures, but of decisions, will be decisive. Expect debates about whether to bring in an experienced number 9, whether to lean on players like Kai Havertz to fill the 9, or whether to alter the system to maximise the personnel available. So what should viewers take away right now? First, celebrate the small but significant wins. Trossard's return changes matchday math and gives Arteta options he didn't have last month. Second, accept the reality that Jesus' timeline is a medium-term story that requires patience and planning. And third, watch the transfer window and Arteta's team selections, because they'll tell you whether Arsenal respond conservatively or go all in to cover the gap. This is a story of contrasts, hope and caution, and how the next few managerial and boardroom decisions could define Arsenal's season far more than a single pre-season injury ever could.